Peace. This is a meat and potato social production starring myself, the Water Alchemist, and today's topic for the occult family is the truth about the Templars. The Knights of Templars, a secret order, has often been a subject of either disdain or curiosity. I leave it up to the so-called individual, whatever conclusion that they meet. But this has further been instigated by author Dan Brown's book, The Da Vinci Code, which was a movie along with its sequel, Angels and Demons, starring Tom Hanks. The truth of the matter is this when it comes to the Knights of Templar, that they came to fruition in 1119, and they were formerly known as the Poor Souls of the Brotherhood of Christ, which was a Solomonic knighthood. And they came together by the blessings of the so-called Catholic Church to defend women who were being kidnapped during the Muslim occupation in Jerusalem and to defend the poor and disenfranchised. But the mistake happened is that when they came upon King Philip in France, because they had amassed a lot of power, and then the dollar bill, or we know the promissory note that's being used in the United States, actually, that comes from the Knights of Templar. They were given a so-called letter, and they could use that letter, which was a promissory note at that time, to get as much money as they needed. So they had everything. And then the Knights of Templar, yes, they had a warrior order, but everybody that was affiliated with them was not a fighter. You had many of the people in the townsfolk just supporting them because they defended them. And that's very important. So King Philip, he had anger and resentment towards them because King Philip needed money. And if he had to go to the Knights of Templar and be the beneficiary of their largesse, now he's under their thumb, and he wasn't going to do that. So he waited. And they had a rival group that wanted to get the same power that the Templars had. That was the Knights of Hospitality, along with the Teutonic Knights. And the Muslims capitalized to get Jerusalem back. And all King Philip did, he waited and waited. I'm going to let the Muslims, the assassins, or the Ishmaelite, and the Knights of Templar, I'm going to let them tear each other apart. And then he started circulating rumors about a black mass and how they were worshiping Baphomet, which actually is Mahomet, which comes from the Sufis of Islam. But that's another story for another time. So he waited, and then he started, I'm going to bum rush him now, which he did. He got his secret order, his knights, and then they started rounding up the Templars, and they started torturing them. Many of them were burnt alive, including their leader in France, Jacques de Molay, but he never denounced the order. The surviving members of the Knights of Templar went underground. And that's how they became a secret society. In other words, they were betrayed by the Vatican and King Philip because of power. It wasn't because they did anything with Baphomet or some obscene ritual where they kissed the anus of a goat and other things. That was all a rumor. That was nothing more than propaganda to get rid of the Knights of Templar. And now, like I said, they went underground. But what Jacques de Molay did do, he never denounced the Brotherhood of the Knights. But what he did do, and this was his ultimate revenge, is that he hexed or cursed King Philip for his betrayal towards the Knights of Templar and how they were slandered and vilified. King Philip of France died 2 years later. So the Knights of Templar, for those that are curious, you can procure a book written by James Wasserman, The Templars and the Assassins. I think you can order that off of Amazon. And there's one more side note that I want to leave, because a lot of so-called trogs would be like, that's fascinating and everything, but that has nothing to do with me. Every Christian must know this, and I will say this. It doesn't matter if you come from the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Protestant, Seventh-day Adventists, that's inconsequential. Catholicism is your father. And you have benefited from the Catholic Church either ideologically or monetarily, and you can't change that. And that is just a fact. Catholicism is the patriarch of Christianity. And the Knights of Templar, like I said, these were Christians. That's what they were. They were a Judeo-Christian Abrahamic vanguard. And they got stabbed in the back and in the front. And that should alarm a lot of people. And like I said before in the previous video, many people who you demonize and view as a villain, at one time, they were the heroes. And I really would like for that to sink in. And when the Templars had started from the poor souls, when they started doing this, Muslims were kidnapping women. And they were trying to protect women from getting raped or being concubines. That's another thing that they did and they neglected. So with that, that is your meat and potato sorcery for the day. I am the Water Alchemist. Be water, my friends. Peace.